Assalamu alaikum. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to my channel. Today we will see chapter number 9, Physical Optics, exercise short question answer. So let's start. So the first question is, a soap bubbles look black when it bursts. Why? Answer is, when a soap bubbles is about to break, the thickness of soap bubble flame become too smaller, almost equal to 0. So the path difference between the two parts of bean is 0. As one part of the bean is reflected from the upper surface, therefore the path difference of lambda by 2 occurs for it. For the first path difference, we have the value of path difference lambda by 2. Second ray is reflected from the lower surface. This yellow one is the upper surface, which is lambda by 2, and red one is the lower surface, which value is 0. There is no path difference for it. For the second ray, there is no path difference. So the total path difference would be lambda by 2. Now the total path difference between first and second ray become lambda by 2 due to destructive interference take place, and as a result the soap bubble looks black. So this is the answer of question number 1. Now moving towards question number 2. Now the second question is, differentiate between diffraction and interference. Here is interference and here is diffraction. Point number 1, superposition of two light waves, bending of light around the edges, width of fringe may or may not be same. Width of fringe will not be same. Low intensity, high intensity. Here is high intensity, and for diffraction, low intensity. Next point is, point of minimum intensity is perfectly dark and bright fringe are all uniform intensity. Point of minimum intensity are not perfectly dark and bright fringe are of not uniform intensity. All the bright fringes are of uniform intensity. All the bright fringes are not of uniform intensity. Question number 3. In Michelson interferometer, a second glass plate is also used. Why? Answer is, in Michelson interferometer, a second glass plate is also used to introduce in a plane its two passage through first plate A. So the path difference between two beam of light is 0. As a result, constructive interference occur due to which we observe bright fringes with the help of telescope. Question number 3. Now moving towards question number 4. How you can explain Beveridge's law of polarization? So answer is, Beveridge's law, it states that when unpolarized light is incident at an angle is called Beveridge angle or angle of polarization. The light that is reflected is perfectly polarized. The relation of incident and reflected index is given by n1 divided by n2 tangent theta p. Tangent theta is equal to n1 divided by n2. This is known as Beveridge's law. From the figure you can see that this ray is incident ray. This angle is called Beveridge angle or angle of polarization, denoted by IP. And this is reflected ray, and this is refracted ray. This is denoted by IP. And how tangent IP is equal to n2 divided by n1. So we have to prove that. I am just showing you to understand it. According to this Snell's law, n1 sin theta 1 is equal to n2 sin theta 2. n1 sin theta 1 is IP and sine theta 2 is IR. Sine IP is equal to 90 minus IP. So it is equal to sine 90 minus IP. Sine 90 plus cos, this is alpha, 90 is alpha and IP is beta. So formula is sine alpha cos beta minus cos alpha sine beta. So here would be sine alpha, then cos beta, then cos beta is IP, then cos 90, then sine 90. Sine 90 is 1 and cos 90 is 0. So 1 multiplied by cos IP minus 0 multiplied by sine IP. 1 multiplied by cos IP, get cos IT minus 0 multiplied by any number is 0. So we get the answer sine 90 minus IP is equal to this cos IP. Now putting value of cos IP in the place of sine, n1 sin IP is equal to n2 cos IP. Now this cos will go and divide sine and this n1 will go and divide n2. So sin IP divided by cos IP is equal to n2 divided by, this comes here, so n2 divided by n1. Sin theta divided by cos theta is equal to tangent theta and theta value is IP, so it will become tangent IP. Tangent IP is equal to n2 divided by n1. So we proved. This was the question number 4. Now moving towards question number 5. Question number 5. What is mean by path difference with reference to interference of two wave motion? Answer is, first we are having the definition of path difference. The difference in path traveled by wavelet from two sources to reach the point P on the screen. When two identical light waves traveling in same region, travel in same region with superpose with another, then this superposition of wave led to the interference of the wave. This means that they either reinforce the effect of another, or cancel the effect of another. Enforcement effect is called constructive interference and the cancellation is called destructive interference. So this was the answer of question number 5. Now moving towards question number 6. Question number 6. Why is it not possible to see interference where the light beam from the headlamps of a car overlap? So answer is, there are the following reasons. Number 1, the wave trains from two separately headlamps are in different phase. Their phase difference is not satisfied. Second point. Third point, these sources are not monochromatic. Due to these reasons, it is not possible to see interference where the light beams from the head of the lamps of a car overlap. So this is the answer of question number 6. Now moving towards question number 7. Question number 7 statement is on page number 339. You can see on your books. Answer I am telling. The sound and the light both are waves. The wavelength of sound is very large. As compared to the wavelength of light wave. Hence, sound waves do not bend around the corner of the pole. They are heard. On the other hand, wavelength of a light wave is not comparable with the dimension of pole, therefore it is not diffracted. Thus, the light waves cannot be observed around a corner. So this is important question. Now moving towards question number 8. Answer is, diffraction of a wave can be observed only when the width of a slide is comparable with the incident wave Now X-rays are electromagnetic radiation with the wavelength in the range of 0.01 to 10 nanometer. This is the range of X-ray, which are electromagnetic radiation. This is so small that in practice such a small wavelength could not produce young double slits experiment. So X-rays cannot produce young double slit experiment. While on other hand wavelength of light is greater than X-rays wavelength is greater than the X-rays. Therefore, young double slit experiment arrange can be used for the light, not for the X-rays. So this is the answer of question number 8. Now moving towards question number 9. Question number 9. Can we apply Huygens principle to radar waves? Answer. Yes, we can apply Huygens principle to radar waves. According to the Huygens principle, each point on radar waves act as a source of secondary wavelet. So we can find the wavefront from the radar wave as it moves through the certain region. The Huygens principle tells us that how wavelength propagate in space from point to point. So we can apply the Huygens principle to radar waves. So this is question number 9. Now moving towards the last question, which is question number 10. Question number 10. How would you justify that light waves are transverse? Answer. In experiment with polarization effect which prove that transverse nature of light, we know that by experiment that only transverse wave can be polarized. Therefore, polarization of light is sufficient for the transverse nature of light. Polarization does not occur for longitudinal waves such as sound waves. Light is a transverse wave because particles vibrate perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave. So this is the answer of question number 10 and exercise of chapter number 9, physical optics. I hope you all like it. Thanks for watching. Allah Hafiz.